Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel. I'm known as the Talking Dog Stitcher here on YouTube and over on Instagram, and this channel is all about cross stitch. You're joining me today for my 2026 WIP Parade. WIP stands for Work in Progress, so it's all of the projects that I've started but not yet finished that I'm going to be bringing into 2026. Some of you have been here before, some of you have been here for a while, and there will be some new faces. So I'm going to start this episode with a bit of an introduction to myself. Like I said, my name is Rachel. I'm in my mid-30s and I live in the northwest of England with my husband. My two children are two cats, and by day and by night, everything is about stitching. I run an online needle workshop called Talking Dog Stitchery, which I now do full time, and yeah, like I say, my life kind of revolves around stitching now, which is fantastic. When I first started the shop back in June 2024, I was an accounts administrator, and I was able to give that up in December of 2024 to do the shop full time, partly because it was going really well, which I'm endlessly grateful to everyone that's ever shopped with me, but also, you know, we did take a little financial hit by me taking the part-time job off my plate. My husband was leaving for a 9-month secondment. I had a part-time job, like I say, the shop, 2 children. It was a lot. It was going to be a lot to do by myself, and for my mental health we decided that the part-time job could go, and I'm endlessly grateful. I've been able to, like I say, I've made stitching kind of my life now. So that's about me. In terms of my stitching, I pretty much stitch anything. In this episode we have 100 WIPs. I stitch because I really enjoy stitching. I love the process. I'm not too worried about the end result. There are definitely some things that I'm stitching that may never see the light of day once they've been stitched, and that's absolutely fine by me. I like I say, I just like to stitch. This is a judgment-free zone on how many WIPs you have in your pile. So if you are a monogamous stitcher and you've only got one work in progress on the go at any given time, that is brilliant. If you have 300, 400, 500 WIPs, that is also fantastic. As long as your hobby is bringing you joy, then that is all that matters. Now, I do have a little bit of housekeeping as to how this episode is going to go. So it's only been 4 months since my last WIP Parade, and I've only filmed once since then. I've started a fair few things since then. So I decided, let's start the year as we mean to go on. We'll start with the WIP Parade, and then hopefully get back into more regular Flosstubes. Fingers crossed. Life does its thing, so we'll see how it goes. I stitch from working copies or from my tablet. I spend quite a lot of time, if I've got a paper pattern, charting it into charting software for my own personal use to be able to stitch from Pattern Keeper or Cross Stitch Saga or something like that. So I'm not going to be showing cover photos here. I will pop them on the screen while editing Rachel is doing her thing. So keep an eye on the screen, things will be popping up. I will also be doing some before photos, and I did contemplate how I was going to do that, whether I did it from my last WIP Parade, like I say 4 months ago, but a lot of things haven't been worked on since then. So I've decided I'm going to use the pictures from my beginning of 2024 WIP Parade, which was the WIP Parade before that. But you'll see loads of progress, hopefully. And if you don't, that means they haven't been touched for 2 years, and we either need to think about UFOing them, which is unfinished object, or get them out and do some work on them. Just do it was the theme of my last WIP Parade, I think. We are going to try and get this into one episode. My last WIP Parade ended up being split into 2 parts because it was so long. I learned from that there is definitely a character limit in the description box. I like to list all of my WIPs so that you can have a look, so that you can refer to them if there's something that you like, without having to sort of hunt through the video. It does mean that I won't have enough space to do direct links to Etsy shops or websites or anything like that. So if there is anything that you want to know where I got it, well, the Etsy shop, that kind of thing, please leave me a comment or send me a message over on Instagram, and I will happily send you any links that I have for where to get them. Lots of things that I stitch are, for obvious reasons, available in the Talking Dog Stitchery shop. I stock the shop mostly with things that I really like, so there is a bit of crossover, but primarily this channel is my personal stitching and not like a trying to sell to you thing. So you don't need to worry that I'm, you know, trying to shove them down your throat, so to speak. Is there anything else? I have got some vague plans. I'm very much a stitch what you want when you want kind of person. I really need to be in the mood to stitch something. There's certain projects that are quite large that I need plenty of space. My children can't be around. I can't be sharing the sofa with my husband because I need to, I'll get to that when I get to them. So I don't have any sort of set rotation or anything like that. I have joined Stitch Every Day, which was run by the Sampler Guild, which is essentially promising to stitch every day. It's as simple as that. The minimum that they say that you need to stitch for it to count is 3 stitches. I can definitely, no matter how busy a day has been, put 3 stitches into something. So I'm going to do that. I also want to try and stitch some ornaments for our Christmas tree. I partially finished one of my previous stitches into an ornament, and I just kind of shoved it on the tree because I didn't have time to do any cording or a loop or anything like that, and I really loved it. I really loved having stitching on the tree. So this year I want to try and get some more ornaments in the WIP pile and then hopefully out of the WIP pile. Sorry, excuse me, I have notes down here, so I'm just referring to them. This year is going to be the year of the WIP. I'm going to try and get some of these ones, especially the ones that are quite close to a finish, get them done. And the ones that are old, I've got 3 WIPs still outstanding from 2021. I'd really like to get at least some really good progress on them, if not a finish. And then final plan is, I've said this is the year of the WIP. That does not mean that I'm doing no new starts. I know I do not have the self-control for that. But what I am going to try and do is avoid starting anything by a designer who already features in my WIP pile. I have, as I'm sure many of us do, I have some favourite designers that appear multiple times, Hands-On Design being one of them, So to Stitch, I've got a few of those. So I'd like to not just add for the sake of adding them. I'm gonna be a bit more mindful of stitching some new designers and broadening the variety. I stitch on everything. I don't mind. I've got full coverage. I'll stitch samplers. I'll stitch cutesy and everything. But I need to just kind of rein it in a little bit, I think. Like I say, I've made it to 100 WIPs. It felt like the perfect time to do a WIP parade. So let's get into it. So we're starting back in 2021. I have a Notion tracker where I keep all of my notes on the projects, and so I will be referring to that, so apologies if I keep looking away from the camera. I have projects in multiple kinds of bags in the interests of keeping this relatively short and within one episode. I'm not going to be going through all of the project bags, but we have Turtle Bay Stitches, Canny Little Fox, some that I've made myself. We've got just some plastic ones from Amazon. We've got Anne from Stitchmajig, a couple of little loops, project bags, CrossStitch Jess and Jess Gets Stitching, all fabulous project bag makers. And again, if you've got any questions on any of the bags, projects, anything like that, please just pop me a message or a comment down below, and I'll get back to you. There will be zips, and I haven't ironed anything. I think that's it. Let's get into it. So this is Visit Hogsmeade by Country Magic Stitch. I'm stitching this on 16 count Ada in the colour Pewter from Zweigart. And this was March 2021 I started this. I will try and remember to move things around so you can see a before and after. It really needs to get some more progress on it. I'm doing the new Milestone Manor game that Jessie Marie Does Stuff recently posted a video about, and this definitely appears somewhere in my Milestone Manor, so it should get some decent progress on it. I'll link that video down below if you're interested. I won't go into it too much because Jessie did a great job of explaining it. Next we started, just a couple of weeks later, Tequila by Stitchrovia. It's being stitched on a 40 count white Newcastle linen with DMC. Sorry, visit Hogsmeade in DMC as well. That's where we're sitting on that one. It's really lovely. It was intended as a wedding gift for a friend who's probably reaching their 4-year anniversary. Yeah. Oops. This is why I don't promise anything to anybody, because it might never get done. And then the final 2021 WIP is classic Lego princesses from Geocreations. This is from Etsy. It's being stitched on 14 count pearl from Zygarde. And this is where we are at with these. This is the most recent edition. Belle, got Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Pocahontas, Tiana, Moana and Rapunzel. And it's a 4x3, so there is another princess, column of princesses here, 4 wide by 3 tall. Elsa appears somewhere in here, who is my daughter's current obsession. So I do need to get onto that, and I'm sure she'd love it. Hindsight's a wonderful thing though. There are lots of quarter stitches in the eyes and mouth, and if I had been a little bit more aware of all of the beautiful things available, I'd have probably stitched it on an even weave. But we live and we learn. I am putting everything back in the bag because otherwise, I mean, this room is going to be chaos afterwards anyway. But if I didn't put everything back in the bags, I'd be buried. I'd be trying to pair projects up for months. Okay, we're in 2022. This was my new year, new start. This is it was a freebie from Brookes Books. Sadly, the designer has since passed away, and I don't believe her husband has been able to keep the shop going, which is a real shame. These are such adorable projects. There are 25 of them, and I've done 6 since 2022, so it's taken 4 years to do 6. If I ever want to give this to my children to make into an advent calendar, I'm going to really need to pick up the pace. I've done all 25 borders. I've got another piece of fabric, but I need to get on with it. Katie Kitty, Peter Polar Bear, Duncan Dog is the number 4. I can't remember number 3. Hattie Hedgehog and Cashmere Camel. I did the bow on Duncan, and there's some more bows and stuff to go on Cashmere. I've decided to leave that till the very end because it's getting a bit tatty being in and out of the hoop. It's being stitched on 16 count light blue by Zygarde, all in DMC. I saw these on Stitch in Mummy Flosstube the first time, which is where I found it and I loved it. Okay, another Stitchrovia piece, also on the 40 count white Newcastle linen, is from the book Cross Stitch for the Soul, design number 5, and here is where we are. I've actually recharted this. The book has the word skillful with 2 L's, and I've always known it as 1 L. I I don't know if that's a British versus American thing, whether it's just one of those things that's changed over time. For me, I like it with 1L, so I've recharted it, and I just need to pick it up. I mean, this is just filling. I could just sit and do this in an evening probably without even having to refer to a pattern, but I just haven't been picking it up. So this is one of those that really needs to get some love this year. I started that on the 3rd of February 2022. Again, all in DMC. Then I started on the 4th of February 2022. Excuse the zip. This is Light by Barbara Anna. It's a freebie from her Instagram page. It's being stitched on 32 count water lily linen from Permin. It's a very stiff linen, as you can probably tell how rigid it is. It has had some work in the dress. As you can see, at some point I've had to unpick the houses in the corner because I didn't make the dress wide enough before getting ahead of myself. Another one that just needs picking up. My notes say that I've got 4,244 stitches left, which should be done. I could do that in a week. I can't do tons. Some nights are very limited stitching time. Sometimes I get a full day. Rarely, but sometimes I get a full day. I could just get it out and do some. Then on the 9th of March 2022, we started Owl Forest Embroidery's Dinosaur Forest. I got this as a kit from Owl Forest, and this has been worked on this year. I'm using all of the kit materials, which is the Owl Forest threads and a Zweigart 32 count linen in this lovely green colour. Lighting is pretty good today for showing you all these things, which is great. I've got some winter sunshine. I also have the Owl Forest universal thread holder, so it's the symbols that they use on all of their charts. Really helpful if you have Owl Forests with... I've got so many Owl Forest thread packs, but like I say, I'm not starting any new ones until I've at least got one or more of my Owl Forests out of my WIP pile. Then this one should have been finished by now. This is Too Much Lettuce. Excuse me. It's a Hobbycraft kit, and I probably only need 1 or 2 more sessions on this to get it done. We have the rest of the trunk and Peter to do, because I've decided not to do all of the red berries around the tree. So I just need to get it done. Just do it. I think it was Catkin and Lily who was like, just do it. You keep saying it, just do it. I know. Then on the 5th of April, what did I say? That was the 2nd of April, so 3 days later I started this. That's all the kit materials. Excuse the zips again. This is Succulent Wreath by Durene Jones. I got it out of a magazine. I don't know which one, but if you're interested, I will tell you. I struggled stitching from the magazine because it was in 4 little sections. So I ended up going on the Durene Jones Etsy page, and she's got it for sale on Etsy as well. So I downloaded the PDF. It's now in Patterkeeper. Here is where I am. I've still got 11,000 stitches left on this. I really need to do it. This is Zweigart Pearl Grey, I believe, 32 count linen. Before and afters. It'll be beautiful when it's done. Just need to sit and do it. Love this project bag. Then, what did we start? This is saying that I started it the same day. We're still in April. I'm in the wrong order. 1 second. This is Storykeep Pocahontas. It's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, art by Melanie Dellen. I don't believe this is still on there, but please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. 25 count, easy count Lugana. Whoops, my bag's going to go with all my threads in it. Here's where I'm at. It's another one that's relatively slow progress. I have done some stitching in this year, but at the moment I use StitchPal, which is an app where you can pop in the number of stitches you've done in any given day, and based on your start date it will tell you if you continue at this rate you will finish it in. This one is in something like 2172, well outside of my lifetime, because I'm averaging 1 stitch a day since I started it. So I need to pick it up, pick up the pace, get some more work into it. This is one that's in my milestone manner, so it's actually the one I'm working on right now. I've rolled for 910 stitches and I've only done about 200, so it will get some good work so that I can continue on my milestone manner. Then, sunflowers. This is a kit by Luca-S. I'm using all of the kit materials. And on my last WIP Parade, I had loads of comments, thank you very much, where they told me if you contact them, show them a picture of your kit and that you own it and all that kind of stuff, they will send you the PDF. And they did. Did that help me get more progress on it? No, it did not. This is where I'm at it. I did put some stitches in, but it's still slow going. It's a 16 count Ada that comes with this kit, and it's anchor floss. I'm enjoying stitching on it. It's just one of those that's just never made it onto the hoop. It never really calls to me. I think what I'm going to do is, I'm part of the Fandom Stitching Facebook group and Discord, and they do challenges every week and every month. Stitch on something with flowers, stitch on something in a red thread, stitch on something that makes you think of a certain person. I think I'm going to try, if I'm ever at a, ooh, what shall I stitch on today? Jump on there, see the tasks or the challenges that they've set, and just pick one of those to try and fulfill, and that will come out, I think, for one of those. This is a Yasmin's Made with Love bag, whose one I didn't mention at the beginning. Still hasn't been touched. I mentioned in my last WIP Parade I might be UFOing it because I don't like the fabric. Love the pattern. It's my most controversial one, so apologies if you are not a fan of swearing. I'm still there. I still haven't done it. This is a Witchelt chalkboard or blackboard linen in I think 32 count. And yeah, do I need to just call it a day? I don't know. Sunflowers I started on the 15th of May. I started this on the 20th of May. It's a gift for my husband, and it's a gift that he might never receive, honestly, at this rate. It's been 3 years, nearly 4 years, and that's as far as we've gone. I'm sure I'd be able to get some nice dark Ada, or the pattern also comes with a light version, so you can stitch it on a light Ada, and I think I say Ada, I mean fabric. I might swap it out. That'll come in nice. I really like the hands-on design chalk talk series. I have plenty of hands-on design, so I won't be starting one this year until I've got some of those out of the pile. I'll probably just use that for that instead, because I feel like video game sampler, it doesn't need to be on a chalkboard type thing. Chalkboard, like the chalk ones that look like a handwritten chalk sign, it would be perfect for. I don't know, what am I talking about? That's that one. Will we stitch on it again? Sorry for the rattling. Who knows? Christmas in July of 2022. I started this and made such pathetic progress. I still have made such pathetic progress. This is 32 count pearl grey. I'm saying all of these. For some reason haven't got them on my notes. I've switched my Notion tracker and updated it and not moved all of the fabrics over. So I'm basically just making it up as I go along. All of that will be on the bar on the bottom. So I think it's this way up. Here's where we are at. If there is a before photo that is any different, it'll appear now. I have a feeling there isn't. They are such gorgeous patterns, and I'd love to just do a whole series of them and have them on my wall. One of those things that I can actually see having on my wall, switching out for the seasons, just doesn't call to me. So again, see if I can, it's got so many different motifs, I think I could pull it out for any number of prompts. So just need to pull it out. We're gonna work on it this year. I vow. Someone's going to come knocking down my door in December. You haven't worked on Celebrate Christmas. It's going to happen. Okay, another Owl Forest. I started this 9th of July 2022. I think I've worked on it recently. Not got a whole lot on. I bought the kit, so I got the Owl Forest threads. Here's where I'm at. This is a free pattern on their website, so you can get the pattern and kit it up yourself. I just love the variegation on the Owl Forest threads. They stitch beautifully. I got the DMC base rather than the Kirov base, and I'm really happy with it. And for the last time in this video, I'm going to stop saying it. I just need to get it out and work on it. I must have worked on it recently actually, because I've started loading up my thread keep. My final 2022 WIP is this Dimensions kit. It's Japanese Garden. I started it the 5th of December 2022 while we were in the midst of moving house. Realised I'd packed up all my cross stitch and really had an urge to stitch. So I popped over to Hobbycraft and they had 50% off on cross stitch kits. So I managed to get this. Here's where I am. I'm not very far. I did try emailing to get a PDF of this, never heard back. So this is from the paper pattern, which is probably why progress is so stunted. But it is beautiful. Another one I can either imagine putting on my wall or gifting to my mum. I think it's one that she would really enjoy having. And now we're in 2023, and the pre-warning, I have 37 WIPs from 2023 still outstanding. Yeah. This is Prefects bathroom. I got mine from a shop called CrossStitchMPatterns on Etsy, which doesn't seem to still be there. However, there are still places that sell a very similar pattern if it's something that you're after. Prefects bathroom, this is called. I've also seen it called Mermaid Stained Glass Window, I think. Here is where I'm at, with a lone green parked thread, because I thought I'm going to start filling in these colours. This is nearly a whole page of the black, and I'm going to start filling in the colours. And it's a little bit confetti. I don't know if you'll be able to see. It's just in those corners there. So we're gonna keep going on that. We're gonna start getting some colour into it. I think that might make it a bit more exciting. It's another one that appears on Milestone Manor and hasn't been drawn yet. I don't know which room it's in. It'll be a surprise. Hopefully for a lot of stitches, because this is also averaging at 1 stitch a day. I'm not going to finish it in my lifetime at that rate. It's 99,000 stitches. We'll get there. I enjoy the process, and that's the main thing. But my children probably don't want to inherit a massive pile of unfinished projects. And then this is, at this rate, that's what's going to happen. Next is another magazine one. Again, if you want to find out which magazine it is, pop me a message and I will find it for you. This is Harvest Picture. I have recharted this into my software, so it's now in CrossStitch Saga. Progress should be a lot more swift going forward. I love the colours in this. Really bright, vibrant, bold colours. Be beautiful for putting up in the autumn if it gets finished. And then we're on May. So that one was started March. We're on May, and I did Mania in 2023, and by Mania I mean I did 15 new starts through the month of May. Some of them have been finished, so I don't have 15 May 2023 WIPs still here, but there are quite a few. The first one I started on the 1st of May was the Joyful World May. I am going to show you the whole, they're all stored in the same project bag, so I'm going to show you all of my Joyful World ones, and I have counted these as 10 different WIPs because I've started 10 different months. Which ones have I not started? I couldn't tell you. I think April might be one of them. February and April, maybe. But I will go through all of the ones I've started. I'm either stitching them on 36 count vintage cream or 32 count vintage country mocha. You might be thinking, that's a strange choice. Why have you stitched them on different fabrics if they're all part of the same series? I didn't mean to. I thought I had 36 count vintage country mocha, which is why I ordered 36 count vintage cream. And I didn't. So it was an accident. But we're going with it. We're going with it because I'm not restarting them. It's taken me this long to get this far, so see if I can identify which month is which. February and April I think is the ones that I haven't started. So we're starting off with January. This has been out yesterday and I did those eyelet stitches. Beautiful. Should be able to get that finished this year. These are one of the series that I'd really like to get some really good progress on this year, because like I say, they've been hanging around since 2023. Some of them, it's too long. We don't need it. February I have not started, and then we have March. Some of the progress on some of these is abysmal. April we have not yet started. Excuse me while I rummage. May. These are all charted in Gentle Arts. I'm using CXC because they do give a DMC equivalent on the chart. I'm using CXC except for the animals and the words. So the word May and all of the cat are being stitched in the called for Gentle Arts. Everything else in the CXC. May. June is a pathetic one. June I might even restart. I know, I have shown it like this every WIP Parade since I started it. It's got a hanging thread. I think it's Havana. No, that's Weeks. It's a Gentle Arts anyway. And not only have I done really pathetic start, I also started on the back of the fabric, because the vintage country mocha and the vintage cream are printed. So it's cream fabric and then it's printed with this kind of mottling effect, and I went and started on the back. So that, I think that's going to be one of my tasks this year, is to just get that restarted, because pathetic. That was June. Where are we next? July I think is that one. Some daffodils in the corner. Not daffodils, just big yellow flowers. August is the dog. We're on the vintage country mocha for autumn, so September. October. November. And I think I've dropped it. Yes, I have. December? Yeah, we're going to go with that way up. It's a little dove in the middle. So that's those. It's being kept in a canny little fox home case, which is got all of the fancy threads that are called for in the animals. All of the patterns are in there. Really, really beautiful if you can get your hands on one of these. And I really, like I say, I want to get some really good work on those this year. Next we started, well, this was a restart in May, on the 5th of May. The Cottage Garden Samplings Year in the Woods Fox. This is where I'm at. This project was the bane of my life for a little while. I originally was going to stitch all 12 of them on one piece of fabric, decided I didn't like that idea, was going to, what did I do? I then started stitching this one, I think, on the main fabric, and then I can't remember. Either way, this is the third attempt at starting it. That is where we're at. Not very much. Also in May, I started the Barn Owl from the same series, and pop in fabric information and stuff up down below because I'm not entirely sure which everything is. I think this is a coffee craft. They should all be 32 count so that I can display them one at a time in the same frame is the plan. Started that on the 11th. And then also in May I started the bear. Again, same as the Joyful World Sal, which are free patterns, by the way. Let me know if you want the link for those. Oh, I've got a needle in this one. Where the fancy floss is in the animals, I'm using I think it's Weeks in here, and where it's anywhere else, I'm just going to use CXC. We're still in May. We're on the 13th of May. I started Lola Crow, a Greenhouse of Oddities Sal. This is a coffee craft fabric, 32 count even weave, and this is quite impressive, to be fair. We're getting there. We're definitely getting somewhere. That is where I'm at. I believe all of the, oh no, we're missing a tiny little stripe of black from the frame. But other than that, the black in the frame is done. I do have some of these sort of white and sort of the back of the frame, back of the greenhouse through the glass still to stitch. But I've done quite a lot over on this side of the greenhouse. I think is complete. This I'm aiming to get finished this year. That is a definite target. (15th of May). This is from a magazine. Again, I'll send you the link if you ask for it, no problem. It's also available on the website as PDF download from Ink Circles. It's Ghostly Mandala. I'm stitching, again, it's a coffee craft, so she doesn't name her fabrics. This is kind of showing up relatively true, mottledy grey, 32 count even weave with 2 strands of Dinky Dye silk in the colour Sugar Plum. I've got it in Pattern Keeper, just need to get on with it, get it done. I said I wasn't going to say that again, didn't I? Whoops, failed. 17th of May, I joined in the Casuarina Dragon Sal, Cross Stitch Bunny, Rogue Mama Stitcher I want to say, maybe a couple of others. stitching the dragons from Nadezhda Kazarina. Nadezhda Kazarina. Here is where I'm at on mine. This is in Saga, so it is pretty easy to get on with once you're there. There's a lot of blended threads, half stitches, that kind of thing. Just need to sit out and get it done. This is in CXC on a chromatic alchemy fabric who is no longer dyeing, unfortunately, in the colour Sugar Plum as well. 2 Sugar Plums in a row. And then on the 21st of May, another one for my husband. It's again from Country Magic Stitch. This is Welcome to Rivendell. It's being stitched on the same fabric as Visit Hogsmeade, which is 16 count pewter. I don't know why I said it like that, pewter. Come on, foldy foldy, upside down. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Another one that is in my Milestone Manor and is averaging 1 stitch a day. So we've got 22,000 stitches going on for this whole thing. I need to get it out. I really like the colours in this one compared to the Visit Hogsmeade, so it'll look beautiful once they're both done and up. We've got quite a pile developing down here. Where are we? We're still in May 2023. I started my first mill hill. I hadn't realised that it was Aida and not perforated paper, but I'm using all of the kit materials. I've got a dangling thread. Here we go. That's where I'm at. And do you know what? What I used to do was at the beginning of each year, I'd put in a hanging thread into every project, and then if by the end of the year, or in this case now that I do Flosstube, by my next WIP Parade, if that's still hanging, it means I need to either work it in and get some progress or contemplate UFOing it. And I think if I can find the time, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to sit and start a thread. I find that as long as I get just a little bit every year, at least I'm progressing, at least it's getting a little bit closer to a finish. You know, if it's never going to get finished if you never stitch on it. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that. It also takes away where should I start? Which bit do I want to stitch next? Because I don't know if anyone else is like me, but I could probably spend a good 5 minutes sitting there and going, I haven't got that thread in the bag. Oh no, I haven't got that thread either. Oh, I don't really want to start there because there's not a whole lot of, it's very confetti. I've got no stitches to secure it when I finish it. And I'll sit there and faff about where I'm going to start stitching when I could have just been stitching. So yeah, if I sit and I do all of that faffing at the beginning of the year, I just need to pick it up and go. Good idea. Let's do that. We'll sit down and start a working thread on everything. Which I've definitely done recently, because this is, I'm calling this Blueberry Fox. It was by Wonderland Ukraine, Wonderland UA on Etsy. Again, that's another one that I think the shop has gone or renamed. If you want to try and find it, best of luck. Which way up are we going? This is on a 32 count, probably, Coffee Craft fabric. Here's where I'm at. This another one, averaging 1 stitch a day. The margins are tight, so I made sure to come all the way out to the end. There's not a whole lot in it, but it will just about fit. And I just love this orange colour on the purple fabric, which is, yeah, it's showing up pretty true. My lighting is good today. I went to Turtle Bay Textiles, which is my friend Sophie's shop, down in South Wales in Bridgend, if anyone's nearby. And it was the 4th of May that we went to visit her last year. And while I was there, I sewed myself a project bag. Let me see if I can show you the inside now that I've just zipped it up. And that's how I remember what date I went. Where are we? Are we still in May? That was the 29th of May. We're in June now because apparently I didn't do enough starts in May. I started with this one on the 3rd of June with Lindsay of Wolfie Stitches. I will pop a note down there if that's not correct. I don't trust my memory these days. Just a piece of like a D-stash 32 count even weave that I had. Egyptian scarab. This only has 3,000 stitches left. Just need to sit down and do it. What? I said it again. Beautiful colours. Won't take me long. Probably mark that off as a one that I want to get finished this year. Then we have Christmas bag that I made. This is by... Who's this by? Because I haven't noted it down. Daily Pattern Post? Something like that. It'll be on the screen. Piece of Coffeecraft Ada, 20 count Ada, in this crazy beautiful mottled blue. And now I'm looking at it. It's definitely too big for this project. But my daughter does want me to stitch her a little Elsa. I've got pattern by Abby Sue Designs. I'm going to pop this on the screen. I'm thinking out loud during my WIP Parade, don't mind me. I think it would look really nice on this fabric. Anyway, back to the project that's actually on it. This is Sampler Santa. I'm stitching this in 3809. And I think it's Amy. I'm going to have to put your channel name down here because mine's gone completely blank, but she's also stitching this and she's done the center scene in a different color, and I'm kind of regretting that I haven't done that because this moon and these little stars are in the middle. You know what, here goes a treat in the middle of a thread, so I can't just like pop them out. So I'm just going to keep it monochrome. I'm loving the sort of tone on tone style of it. Probably not going to get finished this year, but it will get picked up and worked on. It's got a hanging thread. We're just going to get on with it. See if someone can count the number of times I say that throughout this video. Then Christmas in July 2023, I started Milk and Cookie Co. by Spooky and Steve, and then completely trashed it. I completely recharted it pretty much, and I have some regrets, and I'll talk you through them. This is where it is. Now, it was charted with the American spelling of favourite. We like our extra U's over here, so I have added that in. And while I was there, there's a little banner at the bottom that says since 1943. I have no idea what that is referencing, what that year is referencing. It doesn't mean anything to me. So I thought, what could I do? I could do since the year that my husband and I married. I could do the year we met. I could do the year one of my children was born, but then how do I pick? And then I thought, oh well, I'll rechart it to have my children's names. And then probably 6 months after I charted it, I thought, what am I going to do with it once they're too old for it? Because I can't just give it to one of them to use with their children with like their aunt or uncle's name on it. So I think I'm going to have to sit and rechart it to potentially just say the Barkers, which is our surname, or find a little 2-word quote that makes sense to go in that little red banner. I'll think of something. But that's why that's got a hanging thread, because we're in limbo as to what I'm actually going to do with it. 18 count white AIDA that's stitched on. Just with CXC, as most things are. Then, Soda Stitch. On the 27th of July, I started Summer Holiday by Soda Stitch on a piece of 40 count Coffee Craft. Look at that colour. Beautiful. Could it be any more perfect for 2 little children in their rubber rings, enjoying a little swim? It reminds me very much of my children, apart from the hair colour. I'm still debating whether or not I'm going to get that changed to have the little boy be blonde as well. I haven't got there yet. It's a problem for future me. But that's a good 60% complete of the crosses plus back stitch. So we're what, halfway through? Let's see if I can get that one finished this year. Then 29th of July 2023, I went to, I think it was my first ever retreat actually, and I met in person for the first time Sophie of Turtle Bay Textiles, who I'd been Instagram friends with for a year at that point, but the first time we ever met in person was Floss Friends Retreat, 29th of July 2023, and we decided that we were going to start Pardon the Weeds from Cross Stitch for the Earth by Emma Congdon, Stitchrovia, making it my 3rd Emma Congdon piece in the pile. And why did we do that? This pattern is full of backstitch. There's so much backstitch that it's actually really difficult to count between crosses. So the number of times that I'd be stitching on it at the retreat and someone would come over and say hello, and I'd be like, just a second, I'm counting. This is not a retreat stitching piece. It is beautiful. This is on my list of things to try and get finished this year. It's not that big. It's 18 count AIDA in Milk and Honey from Fibre on a Whim, which I think I got from 123 Stitch actually. It was called for in my T-Rex. You may notice that I'm not showing you any finishes in this video, which I normally do on WIP Parades, but I did show those in the one 4 months ago. So there's, if you want to see things that I finished over the course of 2024, 2025, it's in there. I think I finished one thing since our WIP Parade. Not a whole lot to show you. That's not next. 12th of August 2023. Stitchy for Witchy. Hashtag Stitchy for Witchy. I started 3 Witchy Stitch patterns that weekend. I finished one of them, and then I have these other 2 that I'm about to show you. This is Emotion, Bottle That Shit Up from the Witchy Stitcher. Probably nothing since my last WIP Parade in 2024 to show you. Coffee Craft fabric again. It's showing a little bit bluer than it actually is. It's more of a purple than it's coming up. Love that one. And then I also started Apothecary Shop. Oh, I just got tiny pieces of black hanging around, and what I need to do is get some of these to a point where I can cut the fabric. I'm not that confident. Look, I've got a working thread. I've seen a couple of these finished. They do look amazing. Love the little back stitch, and I think that's the bottom border pretty much, so I could probably salvage the rest of that cashel linen. For all those things that I'm not supposed to be starting. Oh, get in there. Make it a lot easier to store if there was half the amount of fabric as well, wouldn't it? Long Dog Samplers Saga. Started this the 20th of October 2023. I'm still debating on this, you know. I said this in my last WIP Parade, whether I start over with maybe a different colour palette, a different fabric, or whether I just keep going. I'm doing it on 18 count white. Oh, it looks so good there though, doesn't it? This is about 5%. It's going to be huge. You see? So, yeah, I'm just going to keep going. This is in my milestone manor, I think, somewhere for a good number of health points. So I should be able to get a decent chunk done. I'm doing a beautiful gradient where the arches are 3799, and then I'm doing a blue gradient where it gets gradually darker within the arches as you go down. If you head over to my, I'll link it down below, buy me a coffee. You don't need to buy me anything. It's like I'm using it as like a blog site. I say using it. I've used it once. But that's where I put all of the colours that I'm using on my Buy Me a Coffee page, if you are interested. I will probably enjoy it once I start working on it. Ada is so easy for me to stitch on, even when it's 18 count. But it's one of those, I think I just panic bought it, and also I didn't want to do it on anything too small because I wanted to be able to, there's quite a lot of back stitch details in it, and I didn't want them to end up looking too clunky with one strand of back stitch. I don't want to have to start faffing around with, you know, is it Gutermann threads or 103s or sulkies or anything. I didn't want to start messing around with threads. Was still in the phase of like everything needs to be stitched in DMC or weeks or stranded cotton. So that's why I decided to go for the 18 count, which I'm doing 2/1 and then one strand for the back stitch so that it is discernible as to what it is. That was the logic behind it. I'm not saying it was good logic, but there was logic. Where are we next? Peach Cranes. Beautiful Stitchmajig bag with the embroidered crane. Where are we? There we are. Embroidered crane in the middle. This is another Owl Forest. This is Owl Forest number 3. This is why I'm not allowed to start any of my... Do you see this little tub here? This has about 6 or 7 thread packs from Owl Forest Embroidery for projects. Emerald City is one of them. Anyway, Peach Cranes by Owl Forest. This is where I'm at. So much satin stitching in there, to the point where I got so bored I had to jump down, and I was trying to work it band by band. I had to jump down. I was getting so fed up. It's being stitched on 40 count. The satin stitch I've done with 2 strands. This is 1 strand, this is 2 strands, and then all the cross stitches are 1 strand, and I'm using the Owl Forest threads. This in Saga, which helps. Again, why do I not? I know how wide it is, why have I not cut it down? Just hoarding fabric in these bags. Maybe while I put in my single strand of, like the what am I calling it, hanging thread, working thread. While I'm doing that, I'll cut down any fabrics that I can cut down, and then, you know, just send them to languish in my stash. This one I got out yesterday, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve I got this out. This is quite a special one for project for me, because my husband bought it for me for my birthday. So my birthday is the end of October. I started this on the 5th of November. My husband is extremely supportive. He loves that I've got a hobby, and you know, it prevents me scrolling. I'm a lot more present than I used to be, because I have to be doing something in my hands, and that used to be just scrolling. But he was also very confused by my need to continually be starting new things. And, you know, fair and valid, because I think at this point I already had 30 plus, 40 plus WIPs. So for him to have purchased me something cross-stitch related was a minor miracle. He was very sensible. He went to my Lakeside Needlecraft wish list and picked out Twisted Band Sampler by Northern Expressions Needlework and this anthracite fabric 32 count. And here is where I'm at. I have been working on this orange the past couple of days. Oh, I'm losing my bag. Sorry if that's making anyone seasick. Cross stitch in the butterflies, and then the specialty stitches we've got scallop stitch, and then I can't remember what the other ones were. If anyone's interested in getting these patterns and is thinking, specialty stitches aren't really, I don't really know what I'm doing. Firstly, there's a cross stitch only pattern, which is, you know, fine if that's what you want to do. It will still look stunning. Do the cross stitch only one, or be a bit brave, because the diagrams that are included with the pattern are incredible. And this one, I don't even need the pattern. I don't need to look at it for this band anymore, for this little stripe, because you just get yourself into a rhythm of it. Oh, it's so meditative. I really enjoyed stitching that the other night when I had it out. Right. This one. I've had this one out recently as well. This is another Stitchrovia. Who's keeping count? Are we on 4? This is Christmas Holidays. Another one that I found in a magazine that I can try and find for you if you're interested. It's also on her Etsy page. Christmas Holidays. That's where I'm at. Again, shouldn't I just cut the fabric down? Yes, yes I should. I should have also oriented it different on the fabric. But that is a lesson for past Rachel that current Rachel can't do anything about. Mostly worked in this border because the lights have black backstitch on top of them. Thankfully it's sort of 2 lines of backstitch going all the way around, so I'm doing 1 line of backstitch and the sort of end of the bulb black dot, so that I can locate all of the bulbs. Then I can go in and stitch all of the bulbs around here, and then I can go back and do the backstitch over the top and the second line. Look at me with logic. I love that fabric. Gingerbread Men by Fabric Flair, I think. In my 24 WIP Parade, someone commented that they were struggling to get it, so I don't know if you can still get it, but it is a beautiful one. It's just a, I want to say 16 count Ada. Then we have Hands-On Design Irony. This started on the 3rd of December, and this is kind of been my Always Bring Cross Stitch ABC WIP. Opposite of Wrinkly is as far as we got, and this came with me to soft plays, but children's birthday parties, anywhere that I could just grab and go. So it's got, it had a needle in it. I think I must have pilfered it for something else. It's got a pair of scissors in it and everything. Perfect little one for just grabbing and going, so that I've got something to stitch on wherever I am. My children are now of an age where they are quite happy to disappear into the bowels of this soft play thing, and leave me with a drink and my stitching, and just come back if someone pushes them down a slide or something. This one's a bit pathetic. This needs to have some serious work put into it, otherwise it's gonna have to go in the UFO pile. Art Nouveau Fox by Needle Lock Designs. Picture on the screen of what it's going to look like. This hasn't been worked on. I can almost guarantee it. So what I'm going to start doing, like I say, I'm going to put the thread in. I'll pop into Notion whenever I've worked on something, even if I've not got any stitches to count. By the end of the year, I should be able to get Notion to tell me which ones haven't been touched. I've got a few days of planning ahead of me, haven't I? Planning and organising how I'm going to get some of these. Just scooching gently towards their finish lines. No rush. There's no point in sitting and languishing. Although, that being said, I do firmly believe that there is not a whole lot of difference between something sitting fully kitted up on the shelves, waiting to be started, and something that's got a few stitches in it. There is not a whole lot of difference. That's probably what's got me into this 100 WIP situation. Oh, just realised we are in the 12 starts of 12 starts of December. Why does that not sound right? I think that's what it's called. So I started with Christmas. I did six festive and 6 non-festive starts through December 2023. Because apparently 2023 was the year of starting all of the things. So Christmas holidays was my first festive. Irony was my first non-festive. I must have finished a festive one. Christmas Tiny Town. I finished it. Go to my last WIP Parade if you want to see that finished. Anyway, so that's where we're at. We're in December. Christmas holidays 1st of December. Irony 3rd of December. Art Nouveau Fox 7th of December. Strawberry Season by Yasmin's Made with Love on the 13th of December. I have stitched on it that day and that day only. It was not worked on in 2024 or 2025. That's appalling. Let's change that this year. Let's get some work in it, because it's a beautiful pattern. That's on a fibre on a whim that I was getting from my Patchwork Rabbit Fabric of the Month Club. One of the coffees. They all seemed to be coffee themed fabrics that I was getting. Cappuccino latte, affogato. Yeah, I think one of them, it was called Brick, and it was not my colour whatsoever, but it was the only one that wasn't coffee themed either. That's the only problem with the Fabric of the Month Club, is that you get what you're given, and I do normally love it, but sometimes it can get a bit samey, especially if you've got a fairly substantial stash. Where are we? What am I doing? We're on 14th of December 2023. This is the November 2022 design. I will show you the cover photo just in case I can't find a picture online. Merry and Bright, it says. This is the kit materials, the kit 16 count Ada, the kit threads. I don't know what it is about Historical Sampler, but I think it's the colours. It's a beautiful festive stitch, but it doesn't strike me as Christmas colours, and I think that's why I'm kind of at a standstill on it. I think because I've got everything. I've got the finishing, the hanger for it to hang on when it's finished, and everything. And it'll look beautiful. So why am I not stitching on it? I think it's the colours. That just doesn't scream Christmas to me. But I am no colour theory expert, so once it's all together, it could absolutely scream Christmas. What do I know? I'll just stitch it and see what happens. 21st of December, Mermaids of the Season Sal by Bella Filipina. I signed up for this blind when it was first announced. Asked Megan at Coffeecraft if she was dyeing fabric for it, and she said yes she was, because she's had a few people ask. So I bought the fabric that Megan dyed for it. Yeah, that's no matter who I see, no matter where I film, I can never get this fabric to show up. Kind of. It's an opalescent, very aqua blue, and it's 28 count even weave. So it came out and I didn't start it, and I thought, long story short, I talked about it in my last WIP Parade, I think. I didn't really like it until winter came out, and winter I really liked, so I decided the only one that I was going to do was winter. And it was a little bit frustrating because I'd kitted it all up with all of the Krynic and everything that it called for, just to find out that most, or a big chunk of the Krynic was for a long straight border. But it is what it is. I'm not stitching the border, so I've got some Krynic that's now in stash, and I'm sure I will find a use for it. I think it was just the facelessness of the mermaids that didn't really call to me. Here's where I'm at. I'm only stitching winter. I mentioned in my, oh, there, that's the colour. Anyway, I think that was a my expectations issue rather than a designer or pattern issue. I just set my, you know, they came out monthly. What was that? Why was I expecting some big elaborate mermaid with a big face and stuff? You know, looking back at it, I was a bit dumb there. Anyway, long story short, winter. Just stitching the mermaid, not the border or the words. And I will use the other half of that fabric for something else. It was specifically, was it specifically cut? Look at the tag. No, it wasn't. It's a fat quarter. I thought it was a specific size for to fit the sal on. Anyway. Still in 12 Starts of Christmas, we're on one of the festive ones. This was started on the 22nd of December. It's Vintage Country Mocha, Infinite Christmas by Barbara Anna. Now, this is also a freebie on their Instagram page. If you can't find it, send me a message. I'll happily point you in that direction. This is another one where the colours don't scream Christmas. Right? Like a mauve, a teal, not screaming Christmas. When it's all together here, somehow it does. Somehow that teal becomes a Christmas tree. So why does it feel like that for that and not for the Historical Sampler Company? I don't know. It's probably just me. Does that mean that I've worked on it anymore? Heck no, it doesn't. As you can see. I didn't show that for very long, did I? Have we done a before and after? Well, I don't know why I'm holding it up. There is no before and after because it's looking exactly the same. I can tell you that. Beautiful pattern. Need to just sit down and stitch it. I've gone and said it again. Never mind. Who's got the tally going? Then, 24th of December 2023, I started Rococo Ladies by Soda Stitch. Here is where I'm at. And you might notice that my fabric doesn't look like it's going to fit. Now it was Amber of Rogue Mama Stitcher, Byrne of Bernadette Stitches, and Jordan of Tattooed Stitcher, I believe, who all were stitching these Rococo Ladies in the style of the women of Bridgerton. So we've got Queen Charlotte and Violet Bridgerton and stuff. Lady Danbury, which involves hair conversions, skin tone conversions, and so on. I thought, that's an amazing idea. I really like Bridgerton. I really like Queen Charlotte. Let's join in. But I didn't have a piece of fabric that would fit it. But this piece of 40 count will look stunning with the ladies on. So I'm stitching them in a 2x2 square. And I think my stopping point is that I'm working from a pattern that I have literally cut and pasted physically with a glue stick and scissors. So I need to sit down with this in my software and chart it as I want it stitched, and then it will make life infinitely easier. That will be another job for when I'm sitting down with all of my projects and deciding where to go with them. 2023 done. We're in 2024. My first start of 2024 was on the 3rd of January, and it was yet another soda stitch. So we're on 3 active soda stitches now, I think. And this is Elf Tree. Now, can we just take a moment for this fabric? This is by Banana Oil on Etsy. She's based in the States, and she very kindly sent me some fabric. And this is what I originally started Saga on. It's 32 count, I think. And I thought, yeah, just black or 3799 on this with this amazing colour in the background for the long dog, be amazing. But to make it fit, it had to go over 1 on 32 count, which is fine. I don't mind stitching over 1. However, like I was talking about with the back stitch, it was going to end up looking clunky, and you wouldn't be able to tell what the back stitch characters were. So pulled it all out and found, and this pattern's going to look amazing on it if I ever actually stitch on it. I think this is probably another one that's averaging a stitch a day. This is one where I'll sit down to stitch on it, and I haven't got the right colour for the next section that I want to stitch on, so I'm just fishing through threads constantly whilst trying to stitch on it. So if I can get this organised, I'm sure I will find myself getting a lot quicker progress as we go. Hold that thought. I'm back. I had to run to my car to get this one because it's my current travel stitch. This is Aunt Betty's at Blueberry Buckle Lane. It's a free chart from Pinker and Pumpkin Quilting. I hope I've said that right. Here's what it's looking like at the moment. We'll do a before and after because I have put some stitches into this. I have actually been working on this recently during car journeys, visiting family, things like that. And it goes everywhere with me in the car in my Canny Little Fox travel case, which has got everything in it, except apparently for the colour for the roof. So when I do my organising after this video, I'll go get some 3371 and make sure it's in there ready for my next stitching session on that one. Now we've got a big one. This is my biggest full coverage. It's Animal Mix Panorama. It's charted by Pain Free Crafts, art by Adrian Chesterman. And this is what it's looking like so far. We'll do a before and after. I've put probably 1500 stitches in this one over the past few weeks. This is in my Milestone Manor, so if you've watched that video by Jessie Marie, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. If not, it might be a bit gobbledygook, but anyway, this is what I've put for my hallway, which is where you start the game from. So I've based it on my house, and pretty much every room comes off my hallway. So every time I move from room to room, I come back to this, and you roll a dice, and that's the number of stitches that you have to do. So I've done quite a few stitches on this. I love parking. I love the hanging threads. I love not having to start a new thread every time I want to go. I can just pick up a thread and start stitching. But there are so many colours in every single 100 stitch square that it's just getting too much. So once again I did a diagonal parking. That didn't really work for me. Things were travelling really far on the back. I was going to say, it's more, maybe I need to do that when I'm organising as well, overlock all of my edges of everything. I have 2 page finishes on this. You can't quite see underneath there. That's the edge of another page. So I've got 2 page finishes. I think it's about 90 pages. It's big. It's 291,600 stitches in total. I've just gone, I think I'm at nearly 11,000 stitches. So it has got some good progress, as you'll see on the before and after. And I'm now kind of working page by page rather than I started doing royal rows. Like I said, I did a diagonal. I'm now going to try and do page by page. So I've parked these on the page below. And I'm hoping that maybe if I start doing, I think the most common colour in this pattern might be 3371. It's one of the really dark browns. If I do that colour on each page and then start working in all of the confetti, it might be a little bit easier. What I don't want to do is cross country, which is where you pick a colour and then do all of that colour, because this is massive. It's a massive piece of fabric. I won't unroll it because it'll take me ages to get it back in. I don't want to be moving my frame around loads, and I could just do like cross country on what I can see on my frame, but because there's so many colours and where there's sort of 1 or 2 in a block, I don't want to be in a position where I'm trying to end threads on a confetti stitch, which is why the parking's working so well in terms of if I then need to end a thread, I've got threads I can weave it under that I've already stitched. I don't know if I'm making any sense here. I like parking, but I'm not enjoying parking on this one. So at the moment I'm working in these parked threads again. I've already done that once, but I'm going again. I've done all of my parked threads on this page, and then I'm just working on this page at the moment. I'm really happy with how it's coming out. I love the detail. That koala looks amazing, especially from a distance, which is where you're going to be looking at it from anyway. I'm working, there's an orangutan here, and then there's a zebra coming in here, which should be relatively blocky in comparison to the very green and grey koala. I'm really looking forward to seeing this continue to shape up as I keep stitching through Milestone Manor. I've put all of my full coverages in Milestone Manor. Most of them are relatively small, under 100,000 stitches. This is, like I say, the biggest one. But I have also put in some non-full coverages where, for example, I want to complete a band on my band sampler, or I want to complete a character on my Lego Disney Princesses, or I'm kind of adapting it to make it work for as many of my projects as possible so that I can get some really good progress. And I'm really enjoying how it's, I think I rolled that I needed to do 1,200 stitches on this, and I was getting to the point where I'd done 900 stitches and I was like, I'm ready to put this away. But I kept myself going because I really wanted to see what was in the next room, so I finished those 300 stitches that I needed, got more progress on this than I otherwise would have, and got the excitement of finding another one. So if you haven't seen the Milestone Manor video and you have no idea what I'm talking about, my apologies, but that's where we're going with that one. All stitched in CXC. It's 25 count, easy count Lugana. I'm doing 1/1 full cross on that. parking bobbins are available in my shop if you are, unlike me, getting really good with your parking. Then, in my multi-pocket, this is my Tiny Towns multi-pocket. I only have one active Tiny Town being stitched at the moment, and that is Big Hearted Tiny Town by Heart and Hand Needle Art. And here is where I am. Just a little start. I'm stitching this mostly with CXC. Let me get the cover photo out so I can show you what I'm talking about. What I did was I looked at the cover photo and looked for the most variegated ones. So this is quite a variegated house, that's quite pretty. And I think it might have been this one as well. The rest of them all seemed quite solid, so I thought, well, they're quite solid anyway, I might as well just stitch them with CXC. And then the two very variegated ones, I got the called for Classic Colourworks, Ripe Melon and Seashelly, just for a bit of interest whilst not breaking the bank, because there's not a ton of stitches in this. This is another Fibre on a Whim. This is Brown Sugar, 32 count. I have a spool that I bought from Stitching Woodcraft that is the right diameter to fit a Tiny Town stitched on 32 counts. So what I need to do is figure out a way to finish my Christmas Tiny Town in a way that it can be displayed on the spool, but also switched out seasonally with any of the others that I finish. I've got, well, there's loads, isn't there? There's Frosty for the rest of winter, Big Hearted for Valentine's, there's Halloween, and then the Any Town Tiny Town, and more Any Town Tiny Town. That is a mouthful. It can be used for sort of the rest of the year. So that is what I'm hoping to do. I'll let you know if I figure out a way of doing it, and I'm not holding out much hope. I'm not much of a finisher, but we'll give it a really good go. I started that on the 4th of February 2024, and then the 10th of February 2024 I was away with some friends in North Wales. We went to Create Nostalgia and Nimble Thimble, and while I was there I fully kitted up with all of the called for threads. What's it called? Moonlight Visitor. This is a piece of, I think it might be Permin linen, 40 count. I've got a big old house to do in the ye old gold. That's going on my list for a finish this year, hopefully. Managed to get all the way around the outside and the borders met, so that's always a good sign. And that was my first ever Blackbird. Try not to catch the threads while I zip this back up. Now I have another long dog sampler. This is a really pathetic start, and it's not been touched, I think, since I started it back in March, 1st of March 2024. It's being stitched on 36 count Mystic by Picture This Plus, and yeah, not touched it. Look at that. I've got some beautiful, on my poor broken thread keep, beautiful Silks for You silk in this silvery grey colour, which is stunning against the fabric. And I just need to, I don't know why I've not picked this up. The fabric's lovely. It's 1/1. It's a beautiful pattern. I think it might be that it's because it's such a dark fabric, it's quite difficult to work on at night, and that's when I get most of my stitching done, is on an evening, maybe in front of the TV, which makes it quite difficult to work on. So I don't tend to go for the dark fabrics on those occasions. So I might have to force myself, when I next get some daytime stitching, to pull out these darker colours and get some work on them. I then started on the 6th of April, Disturbed Women by Lucy Beam. Let me see if I can get this fabric to show. Kind of. It's like a highlighter yellow with this grey mottling, and I think the word I used to describe it is slightly deranged. Slightly deranged, this fabric. That's where I'm at. I'm using Gentle Arts Tin Bucket and Amethyst, and I have done ever so slightly a bit of recharting. This is the British spelling of centre, and at the bottom, instead of Ward B, it's going to say EST for Established 2024. That's the year I started my business. It's the year I met some of my wonderful stitchy friends. I'm so grateful to be able to call them my friends. And we are all kind of disturbed, us women. So it really fits. And eventually it's going to go up in my, either in here in my office or down in my stock room for the shop. Like I say, established in 2024. It means it's quite meaningful. I then, on the 12th of April, I think, which is when the sale started, I started Deadly Aquarium by Lola Crow, which is my second Lola Crow stitch along, which, as you probably can tell, given that the stitch along has finished, did not keep up with. This is where we're at. This hasn't been worked on for a while, and a lot of these now will not have before photos because they hadn't been started at my last WIP Parade. I've started, this was release 1 and release 2 came across here. Did it? No, release 1 and then release 2. I've just started trying to get this bottom corner, so this alligator or crocodile was the last one to be released, and I just started filling him in. He's a chunky guy. That's about 400 stitches that I've done there. So he's a hefty one. This is a 40 count linen from Hobbycraft. Another one. Just get to the top so that you can cut your fabric. Stop hoarding all the fabric in your project bags, Rachel. Don't mind me just telling myself off. Nothing new there. I would rather be stitching Primrose Cottage stitches. Just a piece of 32 count white even weave. Here is where I'm at. I've got all of the words done. So I just need to get the rest of this spool. Won't take too long. There's a B-skep here. And then a little heart border along the bottom. It won't take long. This is going on my list of things to get finished this year, to go with my Primrose Cottage. I've got a lot of lovely bee themed littles to go as like pillows and things like that, and I've already finished Be Nice or Buzz Off into a little pillow, so I'd like to make a little matching pillow to go with it, is the plan, one day. Then for my friend Shelley's birthday, she started, and I started with her, Bellatrix by Bella Filipina. She's finished hers, and I think even taken it to the framer. Here is where I'm at. I have not finished. I'm doing the skin 1/1. Everything else 2/2. This is another Chromatic Alchemy fabric. Like I say, is not dyeing anymore. HAED, I think this one was called. Shelley stitched hers on the exact same fabric, and when we met up in Blackpool earlier this year, not this year because it's 2026 now, 2025, earlier in 2025, she brought it with her so I could see it and it does look incredible on this fabric. I'm so excited to see what it'll look like when it's done. I just need to pick it up. Beautiful. I think it was Danny Sarcastosaurus who is also stitching it on this fabric that we looked at it at Floss Friends and went, ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Let's do that. Using all of the called for. I've got the water lilies, I've got the Krynic, I'm using CXC and AMO floss instead of the DMC. The pile just gone sliding, did you hear that? This one is in another travel case because it has been travelling with me for a little while. It's Summer Pillow by Possibilities. Just a few stitches here and there over the summer. This is where I'm at. Another piece of Chromatic Alchemy fabric. This was an offcut, a few dye spots up in the top corner, so it was a sort of a seconds sale. And I'm using Cottage Garden Threads Raspberry. This fabric's washing out a little bit. It's a little bit more lemony yellow than it's showing. It's, I think, a 20 count Ada. It could be 18. I'm not 100% sure on that one. This still has a working thread. And I thought, we're getting close to the end of autumn into winter. I should probably put the summer project down and pick something else for my travel stitching, because I just found myself thinking I wasn't really in the mood to pick this up while I was sat in the car because it was quite summery. Didn't feel right. Anyone else get that? Where you're like, this doesn't feel right. Why am I doing this? Then Summer House Stitchworks Summer Refreshes. I'm using a full colour conversion for this one because I was getting the Black Needle Society boxes, which come with pretty threads a lot of the time, maybe even all the time. So I thought, what can I use some of my threads on? And I came up with this. So here's what we're looking like. It's teeny. This is 20 count Ada, so the summer pillow must be 18. I love how that's coming out, and the colours that I'm using, it's Night Stalker's Calling, Shaggy and Smurfs from the Saturday morning stitching box, and then Live and Die LA by Any Other Name. On this, I think another Chromatic Alchemy seconds piece in a lemony sort of yellow colour. Not on my list for getting a finish this year, but I need to work in that started thread because at some point I've obviously gone, don't forget to work on it. That was the 22nd of June. On the 2nd of July for Mama Loves You GB's Strawberries for Wimbledon stitch along, I started, it's the Berry Basket by Hands On Design Strawberry. So it is a berry made of strawberries. Here's where I'm at. And you've guessed it, I need to cut down my fabric. I'm just hoarding all these pretty fabrics inside project bags. 32 count even weave this one's on. Oh, I've got a thread floating around. That's where I'm at. This is, I have sat down and charted this into my software, and it's about 25% complete. So I think for Wimbledon this year, I need to sit down and get this one on my list for finishing this year. It can be done. I'm sure that 25% only took me 2 or 3 sessions. Next is, I'll show you the cover picture because I don't think I'll be able to find it online, as it was an exclusive for Big Stitch 2024. It's Octagonal Pinkeep by Haystack Stitching, and it uses a Gloriana silk, and I think the colour is Cottage Garden. And it's a full kit. It comes with all of the, it's got little charms, the I don't know what it's called, but backing and everything, and instructions on how to turn it into Pinkeep. And the thread is glorious, beautiful. This is where I got to. This is on my list to finish this year. It shouldn't take too long. However, I'm not an in-hand stitcher. I tried, I struggle so much, and this piece of fabric that they give you is the perfect size for the design, but is so tight to fit into the smallest hoop that I've got that I've just not tried. I need to, yeah, maybe I'll see if I can find a smaller circle hoop that I can put it in to make it a bit easier, because it is beautiful. I'd love to finish it and to turn it into that Pinkeep. So add that to the list. Who's keeping my list for me? Probably editing Rachel's gonna have to make it. Also on theme of the Big Stitch was Letitia from Corrie's Little Shop was there, and she had all of her models, all of the stitches that she's done, and I bought this Autumn Mandala Yellow Goldwork and Stumpwork kit. This is not cross stitch, but I'm showing it anyway. This is a tough one. I used to work a desk job. I used to work from home, so occasionally I used to have to sit in really long boring meetings that just involved listening. I didn't have to talk to anyone. So I would pull this out because you kind of need a desk to work, or at least I do. I found myself needing a desk to work it. And since leaving my job, I no longer sit at a desk for very long at all, and especially not for stitching. I don't do any stitching during the day at all, really, because I'm working in the shop. So I haven't really done much. Where are we? Let's go. So it's stitched on organza. These are wires. I don't know if you'll be able to see the wires poking out there. And I'm just working on covering the wires on this inside row of wire petals. I don't think I'm doing too shabby. I mean, it's certainly not going to be looking anything like Letitia's model, but it's been really fun to try these new techniques. As you can see, I've still got the needle attached, so I need to get that back out. Of course I do. The kit is incredible, the instructions are incredible. As someone who's never done gold work or stump work, I've been able to understand what's going on, which is a minor miracle. So if you're ever in, because aren't we all on the lookout for a new hobby all the time? Don't get me started. I started looking at knitting needles and stuff the other day. I can't knit. Do I need to learn to knit? Absolutely not. I have enough stuff. I have enough projects. Anyway, highly recommend it if you're looking for something new to do. Check out Letitia's shop. She's also the queen of thread. So if you're looking to kit up your chatelaines or fancy ladies or anything, get Letitia on it. Okay, 14th of August 2024, October Quakers by Hello from Liz Matthews. I'm doing the little boo because Sarah, all your fault, because she got Sherry, who is Just So Sherry, to just give it a go on 56 count. try it. And then I was at a retreat with Sherry where Megan, Coffeecraft, had fabrics in 56 count. And Sherry was like, go on, I'll share it with you. So we both bought a piece of 56 count, cut it in half and shared. And now I'm stitching on 56 count. I am enjoying it. What am I using? I'm using Paintbox threads, extra fine spun silk. I got to meet them at the Knitting and Stitching show this year, and I have more. Really, really beautiful, perfect sort of thickness for stitching on 56 count. There's it's one of these darkest browns that I'm using. I need good light. I don't use any magnification when I'm stitching, so I don't have the facilities for that as of yet. I think it probably isn't too far off in my future, but as of now, I do not own any magnification or strong reading glasses or anything like that. So this is another daytime stitch, of which I don't have very many opportunities, and thus this is where I am. I've just got the top of a B. I wanted to do a small project to test out the 56 count, and it looks stunning. Look how teeny tiny those stitches are. Again, should I cut down the fabric? Probably should. I'm enjoying it. Will I be doing anything massive on 56 count? Probably not, because I just would never get a chance to stitch on it. But I am glad I've tried. And I've still got a piece of a bluey 56 count to try and get on with. So maybe, I don't know, maybe when I get some magnification, it'll become a lot easier. Then 1st of September 2024, a group of us, which is myself, Sherry of Just So Sherry, Lauren Flossabilities, and Sally of Flossy Sews and Grows, started Away We Ride by Blackbird. Now, I'm stitching on 40 count grey from Weeks, using all of the called for threads, including some, what's the colour called? Garden Gate, that was like gold dust at the time that we started it. I was at Essex Needles retreat, and when was it? Was it September? Maybe October, I don't know. I spent 5 weekends in a row at retreats. I can't remember. I don't even remember my own name by the end of it. And there was a table of ladies, and they all started Away We Ride, and I'm pretty sure at least one of them was further along with it in one day than I have been over the course of a year. I started in the middle on the house. Oh, pitiful, pitiful. I can hear Sally shouting at me. Do I get a gold star for getting this far? Oh, it's a beautiful pattern. It's just not one that's called to me. Like I say, I was at five retreats in a row over the course of September and October. And by the end of that, Halloween had been and gone, and it just never came out. So maybe Halloween this year, I'll make a concerted effort to get that one. That is certainly not going on my list to finish this year. Next, on the 27th of September, another one that Sally is going to be shouting at the screen, going, "Really? Is that it?" This is Americana Blue by October House Fibre Arts, and I started this in honour of Sally's 50th birthday. I'm stitching it on a gorgeous yellow Coffeecraft fabric in 32 count even weave with yellow sunflower by Gentle Art. Loving the tone on tone. Think it looks incredible. I'm stitching it 1/1 so that I can make the pattern fit the fabric that I had, because I really wanted to do tone on tone. And that's as far as I got. It's another one that I have sat and charted this into my software. I did the same with The Way We Ride, so it should be easy to pick up. But with the teeny tiny stitches, it does make it quite tricky. But I'll get there. Look how lovely that looks. It's going to be really beautiful. And there's, I think, two others. There's Americana Blue, which I'm stitching in yellow, Americana Red and Americana White. This one features a house, red features a barn, and white features like a church or a chapel. And obviously all of the stitching and sewing motifs. I'd love to be able to do like the yellow on yellow, maybe a pink on pink and a blue on blue, and have a little trio of 32 count 1/1 Americanas. One day. One day. It'll happen. This is Moon Witch by Artisy. This is a freebie off their Facebook page. It's still on the scroll frames. I use an Amarnic, which sadly don't make frames anymore, which is kind of becoming a theme of this Flosstube, isn't it? Can't get that. Can't get that. And this is one where I'm using the Royal Rose parking method, and it is going much better. Here's where I'm at. This is on the same 25 count easy count Lugana using CXC threads, and it's also in my milestone manner, and it has been called, so it's had a little over or a little under 300 stitches, I think it was, that I rolled. It wasn't a very good roll, but it's so much blockier than the Animal Panorama that it makes it a much easier one to work on, and far fewer parked threads to try and wrangle. I use more parking bobbins from the shop on that. And it's kept in, this is like a fabric roll from Andrea, which I bought at the Big Stitch. I think you're supposed, like, the intention is that you put your projects on it and then roll it up. I'm using it as a scroll frame storage. I didn't say I started the Moon Witch on the 8th of October, and then on the 13th of October I was at Stitch in London and decided that I wanted to have a Stitch in London start. So I got project bag from Yasmin's Made with Love, pattern from Yasmin's Made with Love, which is Gothic Bat, fabric from Hobbycraft, who was there. I'd met Megan briefly at Big Stitch, but we actually had a chance to talk for the first time because we'd both been so busy at Big Stitch. I don't think either of us breathed, let alone talked. Look at that purple. And I'm using Roxy Fosco for the first time, which in the colour Carbon, which Marie of Stitches and Diamonds had brought with her. And look, that's as far as I got. Isn't that pathetic? Now I've got, how many skeins of this did I buy? 7 skeins of Carbon to make sure that I had enough to stitch it. So I better blimmin' well stitch it. It's a beautiful pattern. I love a monochrome piece because, you know, you're not sitting there faffing around thinking which colour do I want to go to next. 4 days later, all of my stuff came in for me to start my first chatelaine. So I have all of the silks, all of the beads. I got a bead pack from European Cross Stitch. Fabric is, I think I got it from Lynn at the Sampler Guild. The details a little bit on the screen. Hoo-hoo! It's so pretty. Which way's up? That way. Look at my little arrow. It's a lot to wrangle, sorry, bear with me. This is where we're at. Poison Garden Mandala by Chatelaine. It's very wide. It needs a lot of support while I'm stitching on it, so I do need to rearrange my Lowery and kick my husband off the sofa when I'm working on this one. Look at all, I've started putting in the beads. All of the sort of normal sized seed beads are going in as I go. Anything that's sort of like a little tile, like the ones that go in the corners there, I'm leaving till the end because I am working this on a scroll frame. Gorgeous. I love stitching on this, but it's a big setup. I do have to get myself properly wedged in to my sofa with a pillow propping my elbow up, so I can't really do it while the children are at home, in case one of them gets up in the night, because I would literally sort of be slithering out of my little cocoon of where I've got myself set up. So it's not one that gets as much love as I would like. I really love stitching on it. As you can probably tell by how much progress I've made over the course of October, November, December, 3 months. 1 year and 3 months. 2024. You know what I mean. It's still a lot of progress for me, for something so large anyway. Really love that. It is a paper pattern though, and that does make my eyes go a bit cross-eyed. 18th of October, so the very next day, didn't wait long, I started Halloween Pillow by Flosstabilities. This is another one where I was using stuff from my Black Needle Society boxes. So it's being stitched on 32 count linen in Curtain Call by Lap and Loops, using Be Stitch Me Silk in the colour Gothic Romance. And that, perfect for Halloween. That's where I'm at. I'm really loving how it's turning out. Properly spooky. Yeah, that's going to be stunning. That fabric could definitely go Christmassy as well as being spooky, which is great. So, well, I'll probably, once I've got to the other side and I can start cutting down my fabric, be enough left for me to do a little Christmas ornament to tackle one of my wish list for 2026, to get more ornaments on the tree. 29th of October, I started There Is Room by the Proper Stitcher. I'm stitching it in the Gentle Art Blueberry on a piece of Hobbycraft opalescent fabric, and I was really going for a thing of like tone on tone kind of stuff. Love how that's turning out, and I really vibe with the message as well. There is room at the table for everyone. Life is not a competition. We can all succeed and have a wonderful time. I gave that out as a table gift for Stitch in London that year to all my lovely table mates. Why could I not think of that word? Crikey. Next we have Winter Essentials. This was my birthday start of 2024. Winter Essentials by Primitive Hair. I'm using all of the called for, including the fabric, and I only worked on it on my birthday. There's a little bit of gold Krynic in there, but that is as far as I've got. I was a bit disappointed when I came to overlocking the edges that the pattern is not actually printed on the fabric straight, because I serged my edges completely straight along the grain, and that's where we ended up. But it's not like it's a square motif that's going to be really obviously squiffy, so I'm not worried. That's pathetic though, isn't it? Oh dear. Then Needle Lot Designs, who I absolutely love, did a stitch along, so I joined it blind, and I'm not really vibing with it. I don't know why I'm using the word vibing, I've never used that in my life, but that's what we're going with. I'm stitching this on. This is Pole Stitches. I got this in I think a D-stash. I traded a piece of 40 count yellowy coloured stuff for this 32 count purple, which is more me. Fabric's coming out beautifully. Yeah, I love Needle Lot Designs. I love how Iris does her patterns. However, I don't know. The little creatures kind of dotted around on the pattern. It's now finished style, so there'll have been a photo on it. I just wasn't really excited to stitch on it, so I think what I'm going to do is I'll finish the tree, which goes down quite a fair bit more, and then the animals either side of it, and then I'll cut it off early and maybe make it into a project bag or something. The design itself is beautiful. It just wasn't for me, and I am learning the hard way that maybe I should not get such fear of missing out and just hold back on blind stitch alongs, because it's not like I'm going to be kept up and finishing it with everyone else, so just wait a minute. Too impulsive. Don't tell my husband I admitted that. Then 7th of December, this was a purchase from the Jingle Ball 2024, and it's now been released properly. It was a Jingle Ball exclusive. It's now been released for general sale, so I've got some physical charts in the shop. I think I only did one day of stitching on this. It's a 40 count fabric. That's as far as I got. It's hello from Liz Matthews and Kathy Barrick. Oh, hang on, here we go. It's Swan Bay Fabrics Light Sanditon in 40 count. That's why it's so pretty. And I love the pattern. I just need to sit down and stitch on it, she said for the 45th time. This got a lot of progress. This is my third Flossabilities pattern, and it's called Silent Night. I started this Christmas Eve, 23rd of December 2024, and this is another Chromatic Alchemy, so unfortunately can't get it in the colour Nox. So pretty. I'm using the, I think it's called 4DMC actually. Oh, a pack of needles. It's like a treasure hunt in these things, honestly. I've subbed out, I think it calls for angel hair for the wording. I've subbed it out for Cottage Garden Threads Lychee, which is coming out beautifully. I can't actually see the variegation very well on there, but oh, I love stitching a word. Absolutely love it. That should have come out over Christmas, really, shouldn't it? I'd like to get that one finished for Christmas this year. Add that to the list. That was my last one for 2024, so we are on 2025 now. There are 20 starts in 2025. I properly reined it in, kind of, for the first half of the year anyway. The last half of the year I kind of went crazy. Coffee Craft Fabric, books on what? Counting Puddles, Books Are Magic. Very small start on this piece of Hobbycraft, I'm going to say 32 count linen in this opalescent green. You can really see the sparkles there, but it's interfering with my stitching. Can you see it? Can you see it yet? There, kind of. It's got a big crease in the middle of it, it's not helping. It's such a stunning pattern. I've seen people that have completed it. Jess of CrossStitch Jess did it. Did she do hers on Aztec Red? Did you do yours on Aztec Red? She's finished it. Do you know what? I don't even know. I don't even know where I am. Who's doing what? Christmas has been bonkers, as I'm sure it has been for everyone, with small children especially, or those who do lots of travelling. Thankfully we didn't have to do any of that. It's stunning. I have managed to get it into, where is it in? Saga. So it should be easy, but it's a quite dark one again, so which makes nighttime stitching quite difficult. So it's probably why I haven't really picked it up as much. Then for my friend Sophie, who is Soph here on Flosstube, we started another Needle Lot Designs chart. I'm just collecting needles now. This is getting silly. Called Lakeside Cabin Pictures. I did not get very far with this. I'm stitching this on 40 count Wentworth Sage from Swan Bay Fabrics. It's extremely crumpled. Please accept my apologies. That's where we're at. I did a centre start. Not looking like much. And in fact it was in one of my Canny Little Fox multi pockets, and I pulled it out, and it's a digital pattern, so it doesn't have a chart in with it, didn't have a cover photo, and I just sat staring at it. I think I was at Sweary Stitch's retreat and pulled it out, and I was just like, anyone? Any clues? Anyone? I just had a folder full of kitted projects and started WIPs with no reference as to what they were. Yeah, that's upside down. What they were, well, there was like nothing. But that was for Sophie. Then between the 21st of January and the 22nd of March, I had a bit of a break, and then I went to Essex Needles Retreat near Stansted Airport. 22nd of March, I started at the retreat Talk to Me Goose by Silver Creek Samplings, and I'm stitching this on 32 count linen in the colour Linen by Weeks Dye Works. And I was very excited to be able to see that at the retreat I stitched a whole word. But that's as far as we got. This one's extra special. My husband was working away at the beginning of 2025, like I think I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Who knows? It was that long ago. And he was working down near Kent. So for him to meet me at Stansted was probably 3.5 hours quicker than him coming home for the weekend. So we got to meet up at Stansted, and he attended the retreat with me. I was a vendor and he assisted me. He also got chatting. He's a very chatty guy, and he got chatting to some of the other vendors and stuff. And he actually put some stitches into that project. His first ever cross stitches into Talk to Me Goose. I think I ended up frogging them. I think they were in the wrong place. But he did stitch on it, and I'm taking it and counted it. Then, the very next day, on the 23rd of March, the day after I returned from retreat, I started a kit that I'd bought from Hawkins Hobbies. I'll show you the picture here. Fairy Iridescence. It was right in front of me. And I couldn't put it down. I think I worked on it for about 4 weeks straight. So, 23rd of March, I stitched, well, nearly 7,000 stitches on it. This is where I'm at. I could not put her down. I don't know what it was about her, but every time I pick her up, I just want to keep stitching. So I've got some of the beads in at the top. This fabric is from Stitch Bunny Shop. The lovely Lauren Creation Sparkle, I think it is. It has got the tiniest little bit of sparkle in the fabric, but not really in your face, which is, it's really beautiful, and it's just going to look stunning. Now it is only about a third complete still, but I'm blown away at my own ability to have been so monogamous for so long, because I don't think I've ever stitched on anything for 4 weeks straight. I think my husband was looking at me like, that one again? Are you sure? I then had another couple of months break before doing any more new starts, until I was at the Sweary Stitchers retreat in the May. So on the 17th of May, I started what was the retreat exclusive. I'll show it to you because I've got it here. Selkie by Geocreations. I had the pleasure of meeting Maria while I was there. She came, and as I like to do when I'm starting things at retreat, if I can, I start it on a fabric and store it in a bag that I buy there. So this was from Jess Gets Stitching at the retreat. The fabric was on the de-stash table, so it's a mystery, and I'm stitching it 1/1. Is it that way up? And I've only got what I did at the retreat so far. Now it is a 2-colour design, a lovely coral and turquoise. I've picked 3 colours just in case. So what I've already stitched is Cottage Garden Threads Dark U, and then I've got Gentle Art Copper to go with it, and then I've also got Cottage Garden Threads Blue Heaven to go with it. See, that's the back. Don't show people the back. So I think that's going to look really lovely. That is not on my list of things to try and get finished this year. I'd like to get some more stitches in every project, but I'm not planning on pushing for a finish on this one. This has now been released. I think I've got some that I still need to upload to the website, but that's a job for when I'm back at work on Monday. Then, with my lovely friend Sherry, we try and do a little stitch along together every 6 months, and so far they've all been Christmas themed. So for the first one that we did was Christmas Rules by Primrose Cottage Stitches, get that stitched in 6 months, which we both did. We then did Christmas Tiny Town by Heart and Hand, and we did that within 6 months. And then the next one that we did was the Cross-Eyed Cricket Christmas, and neither of us did. One person did join along with us, Rosie of Rosie X Stitches on Instagram and also on Flosstube occasionally, and she actually finished hers within the time frame, and neither me or Sherry did. I didn't do too badly, but there was a lot going on. Like I say, those 5 retreats in a row didn't help. That's where I got. I also, over the course of the last 12 weeks of 2025, I was doing a digital marketing course. It was 6 hours a week. That's a lot of hours a week when you only work while the kids are at school and at clubs and stuff. So my stitching time suffered over the last few months of the year. But we started it together on the 1st of July 2025, and we'll both get it finished eventually, but we decided the end of December deadline. It was just gone. There was no point forcing ourselves into doing it. There was some quite chunky words as well. I'm stitching mine in CXC, except I found it really odd that it was all stitched in CXC, in DMC, given that there were such block letters and things, that I decided to add in a bit of fun. So anywhere it called for 976, I used Classic Colourworks Autumn Spice, Summer Shower for 927 by Gentle Arts, and anywhere it called for 413, I used Weeks Dye Works Gunmetal, and I'll probably put in and 471 got Classic Colourworks Avocado. Untangle. There'll probably still be another couple of colours that I mix into there, but I was just really keen to make it a little bit more me, bit more fun, bit more interesting. Not that it needs to be more interesting because there's a lot going on in it anyway, but bit unique. And then another couple of months. It's a good couple of months between every one of my new starts early in 2025. Not until the 29th of August did I start Book of Scaredy Cats by Haunted Frames Stitchery. My friend Sophie and her boys came up to visit me and my family at the end of August, at the end of the summer holidays. And while we were here, we raided the stash and did a little start along. So she started, I want to say Book of Deadly Potions, something like that. I started Book of Scaredy Cats, and this is where I'm at. I'm stitching this. This is a Sparklies fabric in the colour, I think, Bubblegum. And it's only a little one. It won't be very big at all. This is on my list of things to try and get through to a finish this year. Yeah, it's pretty true to fabric colour as well. I love these designs, these books, because they only take 3 colours, which is great. Next, 23rd of September, I started Winter Stag because I got Mill Hill frames in the shop and I really wanted to test them out. So I did. Let me tell you, these frames have been a game changer. You don't get your threads caught on the edges of the perforated paper. There's something sturdy to hold on to, or in my case, put in your Lowry stand. So I won't extol the benefits of those for too long, because you don't want to hear my sales pitch, but as soon as I started using the frame, I absolutely flew through. I love it. I think I'm going to have that on my list of things to try and get finished this year as a stretch goal. Let's call it a stretch goal. All of the kit materials, the Mill Hill, it's a buttons and beads kit, MH141636 Winter Stag from the Buttons and Beads Winter series, which fits perfectly in a Cross Stitch Jess frame and all, small project bag. Then I was back at Essex Needles, 27th of September. I again wanted to have a retreat start. Even though I was vending, I wanted a retreat start, so I got some fabric from Coffeecraft, who was there, and I got the pattern Boo by Haystack Stitching, Caroline, because Caroline was there. And then I kitted it up myself, I believe, with my threads. Where is my start? Oh, there it is. Oh, I'd lost it. Dangling thread because I didn't get to finish it before. Oh no, I might have parked that one actually. Show it, Rachel. That's where I'm at. And I did the top row because I just kind of wanted to gauge the width. I definitely need to cut this one down. I love the fabric. Proper sort of spooky neutral, I would call it. But while I was stitching it, I could not help but look at those and think that they just look like a row of boobs. Just like saggy boobs. I can't unsee it, and I kind of love it. And that was when I was just doing the black. Adding the orange into them just seemed to make it worse. But once, I think it's got some white shapes in above it, which will hopefully detract from the effect. But yes, this orange one is parked until I didn't want to finish the thread, but I also didn't want to try and count over each of the things, so it's just parked there for now until I do some more of the black. Beautiful. I need to get this out at Christmas. Why would I get this out at Christmas? At Halloween. I also, while I was at Essex Needles, attended a workshop by Caroline for how to finish things like mattress finishes or biscornu finishes, including beads and all that kind of stuff, and it was so helpful. It really got me excited, to the point where the next retreat I was at, I started, this is from Stitch in London, I started Block Party Bell by Hands On Design. It was the 11th of October that I started this one, and with it being a sort of block finish, I knew I'd be able to use the techniques that Caroline had taught me, and that's as far as I got a retreat. It was great retreat stitching, because once I'd done a couple of these, is it Smyrna crosses? Yeah. You just kept going, and then occasionally you'd stop and count and go, yeah, 2 more, and then turn the corner and go back the other way, and then the same with the back stitched border. Just keep back stitching until the end. And I only had to count to sort of 56, and believe it or not, I actually was able to do that, which is a minor miracle. I love that these come with the little squares of wool for sticking in the top. Now I'm stitching mine on, I think it's 40 count. No, I'm stitching it on 32 count weeks. It calls for a 28 count. So the square of felt is designed to fit a 28 count sized square. But as you can probably tell, I'll just be able to cut it down to the right size to fit inside that little, flapping it all over the place, aren't I? Just, you know what I mean. Just cut it down to size to fit there. No pressure or anything, because you know you only get one square of felt in each. That. Ooh, is that going on my list? Yeah, let's put that on the list for finishes this year. Another retreat, another new start. I was at Floss Friends on the weekend of the 18th of October, and I started Halloween House Trio by Waxing Moon Designs. Piece of fabric from Stitch Bunny, who was there. I kitted it all myself and did a really big chunk of retreat stitching, to be fair. What is this? It's 32 count, and I should be able to get at least 2, maybe even 3 if I do it sideways along the bottom. Excuse me, fringe in my eye. Really, that's yeah, I stitched a full word at a retreat. That's an actually impressive one, isn't it? Really happy with how that turned out. Love the colours. There are, I will say, a lot of colours. I've kitted it up completely. However, I have a feeling some of these are only used in one of the houses and not others. I'll show you the cover photo a bit up close. Like that brown might not appear in any of the others, so I might not need all of these, but I'd rather have it kitted up and not be like trying to rummage to get the thread. This isn't being stored in anything exciting because I just stored it in the plastic bag. I think I'd like to get the Halloween house trios. There's some Santa houses, and then there's the Seasons spring house, the spring barn trio. I don't know whether I'd do the houses or barns, but I'd like to have those added into my decor, so I need to stitch them. They're not tiny, but they're only 61 by 77 each, so infinitely doable. Next, this was started on the 6th of November. This was not a retreat start. This is Noel en Rouge, or Christmas in Red, by Leela Studio. I'm stitching it on Dark Sanditon by Swan Bay Fabrics using an NPI silk from the Northern Lights collection in dark teal green from my subscription that I had with Letitia at Corey's Little Shop. I have some really beautiful silks now to use. I was really excited to pull that one out. And also, now the Noel en Rouge, as you'll have seen, is Christmas jumpers. I won this at this skein of thread at Stitch in London 2024. Yeah. And ever since I got it, I knew I wanted to stitch a Christmas jumper with it. It's called Bespeckled, and it's just Christmas jumper in thread form. So rather than just stitching, I'm doing the Joy jumper, rather than just stitching the outside, what it's called for, I'm actually stitching in the negative space as well. And that's where I'm at. So the green for what's actually charted, and then filling it in with the bespeckled. And I'm going to do one for each, so that's a Z. I'm going to do one for each of my children and turn them into Christmas ornaments. I think this might be where the Christmas ornament thing started. I want to have some. So that is on my list of things to try and get finished this year. I just need to hope that I have enough bespeckled to at least do 2 jumpers. Hopefully. Then, 21st of November, I started Legend of Freya. Started this with some friends. So there is Jess of CrossStitch Jess, who you really need to go and watch her Flosstube to see what she's doing, because excuse me, she is stitching. Bear with me. I had a frog in my throat and I needed to clear so I could get this across to you fully. She is stitching Legend of Freya, who is a big fancy lady. She's not even just a fancy lady, she's a big one, using waste canvas on organza. Just going to let that sink in for you. So what I'm about to show you is a bit pathetic in comparison, but don't worry, Jess knows that she is bonkers crazy and she's fully leaning into it, and you've got to respect that. She's also making amazing progress, and how she's not started snipping waste threads so she can start to see what it looks like on the, I don't know how. I would just not have the patience for it. I have not had that much stitching time on it. It is charted up into Saga. I'm stitching it on Fabrics by Crafty Kate, Regal I think it's called, and this is where I'm at. I've just got her seat there. Lots of 310, lots of 3799, and a blend of 3799 and 310, and it's very heavy. But the fabric is beautiful. It's really gonna work for it. So I'm really, oh, it's okay. We're okay. The scrolls went for a roll. I caught it. I've got those quick cat-like reflexes or something. Then, 2nd of December, I mean, yeah, 21st of November started Freya, and then you're about to see just like a bit of a starter-thon. Your Wreath advert by Fine Frog Stitching. I'm stitching this on a piece of, I want to say, 20 count Ada. Possibly by Fabrics by Crafty Kate. Do I have a tag in here? I don't. I'll make sure that my thing across the bottom is correct. This is as far as I got on that one. Just stitching that in CXC. Then, on the 7th of December, I started January Wordplay by With Line Needle and Thread. I met Alison a couple of times I think, but I met her again at Essex Needles while I was faffing around at the D-stash table with Wordplay February. And I couldn't find the person that had put it on the table. Every time I tried to ask around, nobody could point me in her direction. And then I stood there and I thought, oh, I've got another 11 months to try and find. Am I ever going to be able to achieve that? Am I just going to be sat on this February pattern with, you know, no urge to stitch it? And I think Alison saw this little thought bubble popping up above my head. And she told me that she had all 12 and that she'd be willing to lend them to me. So a lovely package at the beginning of December arrived with Wordplay's January, February and March. So I've started January. And this is where I'm at. I'm stitching, I'm using all of the called for threads. Give me a sec. Tangle, tangle, tangle. And this is a piece, this is a giant, I think it's a half yard that I have of vintage Stormy Night, I want to say. Yeah, vintage Stormy Night is what I've written down. So I should be able to get all 12 onto this one piece of fabric. I haven't decided whether I'm going to cut it down into pieces first, get it overlocked, or whether I'm just going to keep it whole. And I think I'm going to be better off at least getting one stitched and then start hacking it to pieces. Maybe while I'm doing my organising, I cut that up and then I can wrangle it a bit better, because it is a bit awkward getting it into the frame at the moment. But that is so exciting, and that is one of the ones that I want to get. I want to at least get 6 months of those finished. I'm not going to push myself for all 12 in 12 months, but if I can get 6 finished, at least Alison's not waiting for months and months and months for her patterns back. She said that it's fine, that she's not in a rush, but drop some threads. But I don't want to, I'd feel too guilty sitting on such beautiful patterns knowing that someone's waiting for them back. So it's gonna be my motivation. It's gonna be the motivation I need to just bosh those out. And I do love stitching a word, so it goes quite quickly. Then the 12th of December, I started my first Teresa Kogut. This is being stitched on possibly another Swan Bay Fabrics. Do I have? I don't have a. I don't know. This is Holiday Stroll by Teresa Kogut. I started stitching it because I'd picked it up at the Jingle Ball 2024 and it was becoming Jingle Ball 2025, which I attended but didn't attend. I popped in, did a bit of shopping and disappeared. I thought, you know, I've bought these patterns from Jingle Ball, which are now released in physical copy. Again, another one. I think I've got some copies for the shop that I need to upload. Problem for Monday. And I figured I'd start it. So here's where we are. I am stitching this pretty much all with the called for colours as well. Weeks Dye Works. I can see a Classic Colourworks in there. And I think this kind of looks like a Sanditon as well, a dark light. Could be making it up completely. I'll see if I can find it. If I can't figure out the fabric, I'll let you know. Never mind. So much for keeping a good track of things, huh? Then, another Leela's Studio. I started Halloween Quaker. You've all seen this pattern. I'm stitching it on a piece of XJU Designs Grandpa's sleeve, and I've still got a hanging thread. But this is where I'm at. I started in the bottom left with the black, wanted to check the coverage on the black. I'm stitching using all of the called for on Grandpa's sleeve. And that one I've actually cut to size, so go figure. Nothing if not consistent, eh? You should see this pile. I'm going to have to take a photo of this pile and post it to Instagram, because it is something to behold. Then I started from Cosford Rice Stitchery, Starry Night Biscornu. I saw this in person at Stitch in London, the model for it, and just like Jess of CrossStitch Jess, I was like, oh my god, beautiful, want it. I had already got the 36 count Picture This Plus called for fabric, which is what my Fish and Ships is being stitched on. Started this on a call with some of my stitchy friends on the 18th of December for our little sort of Christmas stitchy party, and it was dark. We were talking. Why I thought I'd be able to do this on a video call, I'll never know. This is as far as I got. But a start is a start, so I'll have to show you. I'm using all of the called for, I think it's mostly Gentle Arts. In fact, I think it's all Gentle Arts. And I know it's going to look stunning when it's done, because I'm using everything that is called for, and I've seen the real thing, so I cannot, that's, if not a finish, very close to it this year. I want to get a really good chunk of this done. I then had a cheeky little Christmas start. Don't tell, Sherry. Christmas stitch along failed, so we decided to just put it to one side, start fresh, and the next one we're doing, I will show you. Have I got the proper cover pattern? Yeah. Christmas Folk by Hands On Design. This was my choice of our next stitch along, and as you can see in the picture, I've split it up into 6 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if anyone wants to stitch along with us, grab a screenshot if you like. One is technically for starting in January, but like I say, I've started on Christmas Day. And I'm stitching it on XJU Designs Golden Sands. Golden Sands? I'm going to say Gold Sand. Something like that. Which is this, it's got gorgeous gold running through it. And this is where I have got to. Just starting that poinsettia up at the top. And yeah, I'm going to have, I might even be able to get 3 Christmas folk on this one. I'm using CXC for all of that. And I'm determined to keep up and get it finished by the end of June. Last one, WIP number 100. I started this on the 30th of December 2025. And it was in my Corrie's Little Shop advent calendar. If you are ever thinking about getting an advent calendar from Letitia, do it. It was incredible. I started filming on YouTube my little unboxings, and then life got in the way. I ended up having to open 3 on one day and then forget about it for another 2. So I just stopped, but I kept opening it. And one of the patterns that we got in there was Strawberries Galore by Whilst Iris Naps Designs. Showing the cover photo because I believe it's exclusive for now. Don't quote me on that. In the advent we got it fully kitted with Weeks Dye Works and then the B5200, and we did get a little square of by fully kitted we got, that's my little spool there for finishing it on as well, and we got a little square. It looked like I was about to say Wentworth Sage. It's not Wentworth Sage, it's a blue. It looked like the Swanbay Fabrics blue. I didn't want to stitch it on blue, but I am part of the Swanbay Fabrics Fabric of the Month Club, which we'll next be sending out in February. It's every other month. I got mine in December. So Fabric of the Month from December 2025. I got 40 count fat quarter. Made sure that one, it was the same as what it was called for, and it does call for 40 count. That's as far as I've got. I'm nearly halfway through the top border, because it's only a little one, but I can't wait to have it up on in my spool with my December Fabric of the Month from my Advent design with my Advent threads. I love it. So I'm really happy to have finished the year, and I got WIP 100 with that one. And that's it. If you can believe it, we're at the end. It's over. I'll make sure to get a picture of this teetering pile of project bags for you for Instagram, so go check that out over there. If there's anything that you've seen that you would like more information on, please feel free to pop me a message, a comment, anything like that. I'll put my email address down below as well, just in case you want to reach me there. And I'm going to try and get better with these regular Flosstube updates, so you can see where these have progressed from and to. So keep an eye out. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, give it a like so that other people can find it too. And thank you so much for joining me for this marathon. It's been a marathon, and lots and lots of happy stitching to you for 2026. Bye.